I've never given much thought to how I would die, but dying in the place of someone I love seems like a good way to go.
There we go. That is my wife opening us up for this episode of The Average. I'm Tim.
I'm Bryce.
I'm Bailey.
And I'm Megan.
And if you're familiar with that quote or you looked at the thumbnail, you know that we're diving into Twilight tonight.
God, I love your requests. I was not expecting
Especially when the viewer is my wife.
Yeah. I don't know
She
what-
made
I
the
don't know why
request.
we should have cut her off, honestly, before she even got the chance. Anyway. All right. Who wants to have the honors of going through the summary of this movie?
We're going to let the wives kind of lead this one. They're going to kick it off, do most of the talking. So those of you who can't stand the sound of our voice, you're in luck.
Yeah, we're going to let them lead this one. So ladies, if you wouldn't mind, however you need to in a decent amount of time, just give us a quick summary of this movie without, taking too long.
Yeah, so 17-year-old Bella ditches her mom and moves to Forks, Washington, where everything is rainy and everyone's really pale. And then she meets Edward, who, spoiler alert, is a vampire. And she enters into the world of vampires and playing baseball. And she almost, I can't spoil anything, but
It's been out long enough.
you don't
can spoil
know.
it.
People may not have watched it.
No, our rule is once it's available to stream or buy on DVD.
Anyway, she almost dies, but she doesn't. So that's about it.
And it's based off of the critically acclaimed book series, Twilight Saga by Stephanie Meyer.
And I just have a question real quick. She almost died at the end of that movie because she smelled good?
Yes.
Is that basically?
Well, no.
That's basically what happened.
Edward thought she smelled bad. Do you not remember that pivotal scene in biology class?
Well,
No, I get that, but the other guy was like, "Oh,
I swear to
She
God,
smells
this is going
good.
to be the longest episode I've ever been in.
Bella was his own personal brand of heroin. That's what it was. But yeah, it's pretty much one of the best movies of all time. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but
yeah." Let's dive into the score.
Let's just kick this.
Okay.
God,
Yeah,
let's just
she
kick
thinks
this
we're going to
off,
do the
please.
rest of the series.
Tim?
The first time I watched this was actually a deal with Bailey that she would watch this, or I would watch this with her if she would watch the DC movies with me.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Yeah.
I will comfortably say I have actually never seen this full movie in one sitting. I've seen so many.
Until now.
And let's just say 3 glasses of rum later. Yeah, I finally got through it. No, you know what? No, not gonna thank God for that.
So
one.
what would you give the story then, Bryce?
Fine, I'll be the one. Okay.
The mic is in your face.
All right, I gave the story a 0. Honestly, most of this movie was a fever dream, and I tried to have fun with it. I really did. Yeah, the story, honestly, no, there's no story. There's not a story. It's more like what is it in high school with the theater kids? It's more kind of like an improv, basically, is what it felt like to me. Like, I felt like there was really, like, sure, like, oh, she ran away from mom. Oh, okay, well, it doesn't really hold a lot of weight, it seems, throughout the entire movie. Oh, she meets all the cool new kids in school. Oh, and okay, yeah, love the one handsome dude. Okay, that's nice. There's no
Taylor Lautner or
I don't
Oh, okay.
I don't care. Yeah, I gave the story a 0. That might be too harsh. Maybe a 1 because there is somewhat of a very, very, very loose structure in this movie for a story. But I just think that this story holds like 0 weight at all, and it's just kind of like a wild ride.
I'm gonna interject that.
Go ahead, Bailey.
We'll
take
let
it
Bailey
away.
take it
Okay. Well, I gave the story a 2 because is it original? Is it good? No. But the grip that this story had on every preteen girl in 2008, you can't say the story had nothing. The only thing that was pretty good about it is that I don't know. That I guess that speaks for itself. I don't know, but it's entertaining. I think it's an entertaining story. And if you read the books aren't very good either. But then you kind of get the story more.
Yeah, my younger self ate this up, and I don't know why I did. I guess I just didn't know any better. I also gave the story a 2 because I don't think it's very fair of Bryce to say there was no story, because there is a story. Just wasn't a very good one.
I think that's a fair assessment of it too. I actually gave the story a 5. I thought it was I'm kidding. I gave it a 1.
I was like, what?
I gave it a 1. The whole vampire romance thing, Anne Rice has done it before. I'm pretty sure. Well, Stephen King, I don't know if he did a romance, but Salem's Lot was pretty vampire-y. The whole idea of Dracula is dripping in sensuality and romance. So doing a romantic vampire story, nothing new. Targeting it to preteens and teens, I do think this gets some points on originality for that. I do not remember anything like this before it. However, after it was
So
the
many.
next 15 years. We mixed in Hunger Games and we got either fantasy vampire werewolf romances or dystopian futures, and that's young adult fiction for years.
Well, I feel like it kind of, I don't think it introduced the love triangle, but it certainly made it popular, right?
Oh,
like the
right.
Hunger Games had it. What was
The Vampire Diaries, that show was like,
Yeah, when did that come up before Twilight?
I think
I think it was after.
I think it was right after.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think this, I have to give it points because it brought something that has existed for years to a market where it was pretty new. And forget that they completely destroyed vampires, but it resonated with thousands of people.
Sorry, let me clarify that. Resonated with thousands of little girls in middle school.
They're still people, Bryce.
Also, I want to add, any parent that let their middle school girl watch this, I think probably did them a disservice, because the amount of emotional manipulation we saw and just unhealthy relationship dynamics, and girls stand for it.
But how many moms took their daughters because the moms are eating it up too?
Yeah, that's true. A lot of the moms really enjoyed it too. So I don't know. What
So, and
what
they
does this
probably-
say about us in society?
They probably enjoyed it because of the character. So you want to kick off what you gave character, Megan?
Sure. Let me pull up my score. Okay, I gave the character a 2. Yeah, like I don't know if Bella is just unlikable or if Kristen Stewart's just really good at like making a character be unlikable. I mean, Bella is unremarkable. She's supposed to be awkward in an endearing way, and it was just cringy. Edward Cullen was not great.
Still trying to figure out what she's doing with that ketchup bottle.
Right. Someone get this girl some ketchup. Actually, I actually thought Edward was kind of interesting. Like, I like his backstory a little bit. I thought it was kind of cool that these vampires lived for hundreds of years, just because I like timepiece stories, I guess. But that's about it. Otherwise, everyone's pretty forgettable. No one has some redeeming character arc, really. Bella just goes down the tornado of self-destruction, throwing away her life for this guy.
Bella's probably one of the most unlikable characters in the whole thing. But like, a lot of the characters aren't great, but I do remember wanting to be all of their best friends. Like, I would have dreams about them, which is really embarrassing. So like, I wanted Alice to be my best friend.
Okay, Alice is kind of cool,
Yeah,
though.
I wanted Carlisle to be my dad. Like, they were just, it was all there. Taylor Lautner as Jacob. So good.
Yeah, I've seen cardboard cutouts do similar performances to Taylor Lautner in this movie. It ranks right up there with Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Some of the greatest cardboard
Well,
performances
in
ever.
case you haven't heard, Taylor Lautner has been Mark saved from Speak Now, Taylor's version. So, in case
Anyway, Tim, go ahead. You're next.
Bailey, you didn't actually give us your score for characters.
Oh, I think I gave it a 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2, I gave it a 1 for characters. They are, the 1 stands for one-dimensional. Because that's what most of these characters are. It's Taylor Lautner's the somewhat Native American werewolf boy.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah.
That's all you need to know. Bella's the awkward girl. That's all you need to know. Her dad is the sheriff. That's all you need to know. The like everybody just fits so nicely into a cardboard standout and delivers the lines with, oh, that's acting. Sorry. There's no real, like, I think Edward is actually the most interesting of the characters. You get a little bit more of his story, but even then, in the end, he's
You find more
one
out
note.
about Edward later in the series, which is why we have to keep.
I watched all of them already, and I'm good. All right, so Bryce, please tell
Yeah.
us what you thought of these characters.
Oh, thanks for asking. I'm happy to share my thoughts. I know how much they matter to this episode. I also gave it a 1. And it was literally just because the dad was like somewhat likable throughout the movie. Like, I don't know, I just kind of like connected with him for some weird reason. I was just kind of, you know what? I feel for this man because if my daughter was Kristen Stewart, I too would feel this way.
Dating one of those Cullen kids?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, none of these characters are memorable. They're not likable. I've seen bricks in a house act better than this.
CW acting better than this.
Tim, let's not come on. Let's have some respect here. I think we'll get into that with the acting. Yeah, the characters are pretty much worse than white bread in my humble opinion. The dad's likable, and that's the only reason I gave it a 1. So outside of that, yeah, I think Kristen Bell's character, Bella, whatever her name is, she's so annoying. I just don't like her at all. Oh God, Edward, I love you. Just so stupid. Anyway, what's next?
Next, we jump into music and sound, and let's let the wife
Yeah,
start
go
this
ahead.
one off.
Yeah, I gave the soundtrack a 5 because it's a banger. Like, we got so many unique original tracks, and then they threw in Muse's piece at the baseball scene. It's iconic.
No, I also gave it a 5 because to this day, 15 years later, I have the Twilight CD in my car and I still listen to it because so good. Like you said, the baseball scene, there's not one person on this earth that does not like that baseball scene. So good.
We like it for different reasons.
I don't know.
I think it's
but
hilarious.
also the just influence that the Twilight soundtrack had on the rest of my music choices for the next like 10 years changed my life.
So I gave the music a 1 because Linkin Park had a song in it. So
What song did they have in it?
I don't know. It played.
Leave out all-
It played in the
Yeah.
credits.
Leave out all the rest, I think.
Yeah. So I
It's a good
gave
song.
I gave it a 1 because Linkin Park. R.I.P. Chester.
Yeah, I actually gave this a 3. And it wasn't really for a good reason. It was just like there is a really good set of songs here. You got some Paramore, you got Linkin Park, you got Muse, and I mean the rest is pretty awful. But like those songs on their own kind of just carry it up to a 3 in my opinion. The biggest issue was it's at the end of the freaking movie. It's at the credits. Why would they do that?
2 of those songs that you mentioned are in the credits.
Literally, 2 of them. Like Muse is the only one in the movie. It's like, why would you waste these great songs? Gosh, I have to listen to some random girl like, God, it's just I don't get it.
Bella, or you want to play Bella's song for us?
Yeah, what's
Bailey?
Bella's song? Yeah, Bella's song.
The piano one?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not gonna. No, thank you.
So yeah, anyway, 3 out of 5. I actually like the songs. It's just they're poorly placed.
So going to editing and special effects.
What is that? Okay, I put 3 for that because I thought it was just like fine. They did pretty good with the vampires flying through the air, I think. And you know all the blood and stuff, but it was like nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I gave it a 2. I thought a lot of the cuts were pretty rough. Even the camera angles.
Ooh, and the blue tinge.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that knocks off a lot of points. How could I forget about that? But I did appreciate that they did use some practical effects, but we were making fun of the vampires walking because it was obvious that they were like on a treadmill or on those airport moving conveyor belts. Like, it was pretty bad, but it wasn't the worst editing I've ever seen.
I also gave it a 2, and for a lot of those same reasons. There are some nice uses, maybe not nice, but skillfully done green screen moments that look better than Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I'm gonna keep a record of how many times you've mentioned Ant-Man and the Wasp in other reviews outside of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It is currently the standard for modern CGI badness.
Okay, fair. No, it's fair.
But there were a couple scenes that I was like, oh, that green screen actually looked decent, like when they're up in the tree. But then there's other moments that I'm like, you're on wires and it's obvious, or you are not interacting with that space properly, like the walking way too fast. But yes, the gray tinge, blue tinge to the movie, which had influence on so much after that as well, from teen TV shows to teen movies that were trying to be
true.
like, it influenced so much after that. Like, even the first Hunger Games kind of had some influence for this, but like Megan stated, the cuts are terrible. There are some moments that I was like, what was that scene about? And then we just cut to something totally different with the same characters, and it was bad.
Yeah, I gave mine a 1 out of 5. It was, you guys basically said it all. The tint was pretty miserable to look at for an entire movie. The cuts were just all over the place. Just felt like they let someone's kid into the room to make the cuts for them. Yeah, them flying, it looked awful with, what was clearly just strings attached to them. But to your point, I gave it the 1 because the landscape shots and some of those CGI shots, with a background, like their back green screen shots, they actually did look like good, minus the blue tint. Like there's some decent like editing with the green screen there, and it did look good for, I guess, the time. But like outside of that, the editing is just really, really rough.
Oh, a perfect example of how rough it is I think is it in a TikTok now or a meme, but when he saves her from that car.
Oh yeah.
And it's so poorly cut together and shot that you.
What do you mean? That scene is like.
it's horribly executed.
It's rough. Yeah. Anyway, what's next? What's next on the list?
We have script up next.
Script? Okay.
Go ahead, Bryce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me pull on my phone real quick.
You were.
What was
wrote
a
notes?
0? Yeah, it was. I don't know. I don't have notes on that. I know how I feel.
Okay.
Sometimes Bryce changes his scores mid recording.
Okay.
I like to live a little bit on the edge.
His scores are living, breathing things that are constantly in flux.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I gave it a 0. This script was just like straight hot dog water. It was really, really bad. I don't think there was like a single thing that felt there was not a single line spoken that felt natural in this movie by any stretch of the imagination. It was, I think the best part about it was just after a few drinks in, listening to Bailey and Megan like recite them and just make fun of how awful these lines were. No, go ahead.
I also gave it a 0.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're on the same, because I almost could have given it a 1 because it's a script that's so bad it's funny. Like, I think
I'm
it's
gonna stop you right there. It is not so bad that it's funny. Batman and Robin is so bad that it's funny. This one was just like nails on a chalkboard.
See,
for me.
I thought this movie is hilarious when he's talking about his sparkly skin.
The sparkly
and, like,
skin.
It's so funny. Or the like, what does Bella say about I knew 3 things for sure? And
Oh
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
the 3
dying. It is so funny.
I was gonna say, here's what I say. I was on board with the script, like for so bad it's funny, 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning. After that, I was just waiting for him to say it out loud, vampire.
So you're saying it went from funny, so bad it's funny, to so bad it's sad?
Yeah, like
Pretty
I was
quick.
just all like depressed by the end of it with that script.
All right, let's let the wives discuss it.
The guys are so harsh about it. I gave it a 2 because once again, this is not the worst script I've ever heard. I actually give the movie people props. They did a really good job of staying true to the book.
Yeah, some of those lines are straight out of the book. Like
Yep.
the about 3
So,
that was absolutely
The
popular.
real
Yeah.
person we need to blame is Stephanie Meyer, and she's sitting on millions of dollars. So really,
It's true.
who is laughing here?
She's more successful than any of us in this room, and she wrote this.
Yes, but I would say the main part that made me cringe was not the 3-part, the whatever she was talking about, the 3 things, or the vampire sparkling. It was the spider monkey that makes
Oh,
my
yeah, that was
skin
really bad.
makes my skin crawl. So that's why I gave it a 2.
Yeah, I gave it a 1 because I can't deny it's pretty bad, but you know, it is what it is. Like you said, it follows the book really, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can blame the script.
Script.
Yep.
There's a
Script.
T at the end
Yep.
of that. Yep.
I'm a math major. And no, one of my favorites is when they pull up to the police station after that guy gets killed, and Bella's just like, "Wait, what is going on?" it's great writing.
Yes.
Well, and that delivery leads right into the acting. So
Yeah.
why don't you?
Yeah. What did I give the acting? I think I gave the acting a 3.
That is generous.
Yeah, it is pretty generous, but here's why. Like we said, I think we've all waken up to the fact that it's not Kristen Stewart, it's the script.
It might be Kristen Stewart.
I don't know.
I think we've woken up to the fact that it's not
Bailey,
Robert Pattinson.
Darling, let me just break it down for you here. It is definitely Kristen Stewart. It is all Kristen Stewart.
Don't
Sorry.
call me darling. Don't call me Shirley.
No, yeah, it's Kristen in the script. So continue, please, or take your swig of Coca-Cola.
Oh, what else was I saying about that?
TM.
Acting. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess it's just hard to also say because they were Kristen and Rob obviously were the 2 biggest parts in that. Taylor Lautner's pretty bad.
yeah.
That's not up for debate. Who else is in there? Carlisle. Yeah, they all just have such small parts. Jasper. What's his name?
He was pretty
Rathbone.
bad.
He's very bad. But
Well, we even saw Anna Kendrick in there, which
Yeah.
she's pretty big now too.
yeah, she's good. She played her part well.
Yeah.
But it was a very small part. So
Yep.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll stick by my choices.
Well, I'm actually surprised I gave a 3 for acting. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I also was thinking it was the script, not Kristen Stewart. But I have to admit, I have not seen very many Kristen Stewart movies outside of Twilight. I know she was in the Diana movie, but I haven't seen it. But yeah, I think I mostly blame the script on the acting because obviously Robert Pattinson is a very talented actor. I've seen him in a lot of things, and I know he hates this movie, which is so funny, but I think the actors just did the best they could with the script, so I didn't want to take off too many points for acting.
So I'll agree with him there that to a degree. I think many of these actors have proven that they can act since this movie. However, the acting in this movie is awful. I give it a 1 because I do think Robert Pattinson is trying to do the best he can with those lines. I do think Kristen Stewart is trying to do the best she can. I'm not sure about some of the others. I've seen Carlisle.
The dad?
Is that the doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy. He was in Nurse Jackie on Showtime.
Yeah.
And he played a totally different character, and he did a great job in that. But the acting in this is cardboard and wooden and just.
Have you seen Kristen Stewart in Zathura?
Wasn't she 14?
She was
No, she was a
so-
teenager, but she was the older sister. That
Yeah.
is a movie. That's one of the best movies ever.
I've seen her in Snow White and the Huntsman, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think it changes my opinion
No,
of her
that
acting in that one.
So allow me to be the one who kind of sells in between everyone here, because I actually gave mine a 2 out of 5 for this one. And I was going to talk about it earlier, but I was going to hold it for this section. I am glad that there are there are actors in this movie who are able to break this Twilight mold. Because let's be honest, Twilight had a stranglehold on these actors when it came out. And I mean, I'm going to be honest, I didn't think of Robert Pattinson in anything but Twilight until I think it was The Lighthouse, maybe?
Lighthouse,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that was the first movie where I was like, oh, he does do other stuff outside of Twilight.
He spent 10 years trying to shake the image of Edward.
Yeah, and I mean that, and we'll talk about it in the It Factor with that. But yeah, I'm just happy that people broke out of it. However, yeah, the acting is pretty rough. But I will put a lot more blame on the script overall, and I'll even cut Kristen Stewart some slack. Because like you said, she's supposed to kind of be awkward and weird in this, and it's not quite endearing, and that is her fault because that is Kristen Stewart as an actor. However, her script is way worse than her acting. I'm gonna cut her some slack on that one. Robert does the best that he can with what he's given. Again, the dad's pretty likable for the most part in this movie. And he does decent. He's actually probably the standout just because of how normal he feels based on everyone else. So yeah, I gave it a 2 out of 5. It's pretty rough, but I think a lot more of that can be you can put that blame more on the script, I'd say.
So that takes us to direction. Megan, you want to kick off?
Yeah, I gave the direction a 2. I had not seen this movie in a while. I actually did a whole series rewatch like a few years ago, but I was surprised at how I forgot how slow this movie was. Like the pacing was so off, and I think that's the director's fault. And that kind of ties into the editing, but just the pacing was off. No story. I mean, I'm kind of being redundant, but that's just why I give the direction a 2.
Yeah, I also gave it a 2 because of, what we said about the editing and like the story was really weird, like weirdly timed and laid out. Because I remember I saw the movie before I read the book, and I think I had to watch it a couple times before I understood what was happening because it just doesn't flow well.
Yeah, I gave it a 0. I agree with you and 10 times over with that. The pacing was horrendous for me. Half the time I had no clue what we were doing. It felt like 3 episodes running back to back of 3 different stories. You have one which is like this love relationship going on with Edward and Bella. The next one is like a history lesson on vampires, and then the next one's this weird like cat and mouse chase. Like, dear Lord, it was hard to keep up with. Yeah, pacing's pretty rough. The director did not really do a great job at all pacing this movie, directing the people well. I think it's fair to say the actors were struggling to maybe convey certain scenes, and yeah, I don't have much more to say. I'm just gonna double down where you guys stand on that.
I also gave the direction a 0. I just don't know why so many of these choices were made in this movie. And in the end, I kind of judged the direction on how well something comes together. And I think for this, it's either a 5 or a 0, because if you were trying to influence the next 10 years of young adult anything, then this movie was a masterpiece that everybody followed. But if that was the goal, they succeeded, but it's terrible. So I am not someone who thinks it's a 5. I think it's a 0. I think it ruined young adult literature and young adult movies for the next 10 years. I was not its target audience. So
That's true.
pretty clear.
Yeah.
I was not the target audience, so it was a 0 for me. So that would take us then
It Factor.
to the It Factor, which we're actually unanimous on It Factor.
Yeah, so I gave it a 5, which we all gave it a 5. Like, it's very clear that this was a global phenomenon, like, especially as the series went on, like, everyone was talking about it. I remember I was 10, I think. It probably helped also that Robert and Kristen were dating in real life. But to Tim's point about this influencing young adult movies, I kind of disagree. I think it did spur on like a marketing push to turn more young adult books into movies, like The Hunger Games, Divergent, Maze Runner. But those were all like dystopia novels. So if anything, I think Hunger Games was the one that triggered that.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, but that not to say Twilight definitely did have its place in cinematic history, at least from a box office perspective.
Yeah, I mean, because this one was coming out like right along with Harry Potter. Because I mean, Harry Potter, right? Because Harry Potter had like 8 movies.
I'm pretty sure Harry Potter was mostly
I think it was
done.
ending by the
Yeah.
time.
I was gonna say,
that
it was
Twilight came out,
ending.
but they were overlapping.
Like,
in some
we
way.
might have been.
Twilight was close to its end,
Deathly
but
Hallows.
I know that because here's how I remember it. Harry Potter was the one who made the last movie a 2-parter, like the last book a 2-parter famous.
Right. Yeah.
Twilight was. I kind of agree with Tim and Megan on the point of like I think Twilight did kind of kick off that whole young adult make a movie out of it, like make
technically
a
Harry
series out
Potter
of it.
was a kids series,
Right. I don't view Harry Potter like I view like anything after Twilight. Like everything Twilight onward is not what Harry Potter was, but I think Twilight absolutely did influence everything from the Hunger Games, Maze Runner. But to Megan's point, I think Hunger Games really like just put the nail in the coffin of like, yeah, we're just going to take every single adult novel and we're going to make something out of it and we're going to make money off of that. And obviously to the detriment of Hollywood, that didn't work out too well. But as much as I hate to admit it, it's hard to not give this a 5 because it really was one of the biggest like just cinematic moments in history easily, whether for the right or wrong reasons. You can't argue that.
It was a cultural phenomenon at the time. I was just looking it up because I was curious. We had 5 Harry Potter movies before this one came out, so 3 followed. But I do think, like, whether it was the books or the movies, I'm not sure. But I think definitely more than the movies, after you pointed out the dystopian nature, the movies took the dystopian, but you could not go to the young adult section at Barnes & Noble's without seeing vampire rip-off romances or anything like that.
Yeah,
so,
I would-
I think that spawned both from the huge success of the movies. Like, somebody wants to, like, Vampire Diaries, they want to be the next Twilight. They want to be the
Yep.
next. And that definitely had an influence on the books. You're right. We didn't see that many movies. Even the movies bombed so bad after a while, they didn't release the last Divergent movie. So,
Well, they did an awful job with that. But yeah, it's funny. The early 2010s, the young adult section was either vampire or dystopian
Yes.
novels.
Yes, there was
nothing.
no in between.
Yeah.
Because I love reading a good young adult book every now and then because
Mhm.
they're quicker, fast paced. But you couldn't. I drifted from young adult during that time because it was all vampire romances.
I think the only thing I would have
Now it's
to
all
add,
gay vampire romances.
Anyway,
Any
does that
JoJo
really
fans out there?
exist? I don't know. But oh, It Factor. Yes, the only thing I would have to add is that I used to have a blanket with Edward and Bella on it. And
That doesn't surprise me in the
no, it
slightest.
was a great blanket. I think one of my cats threw up on it, so I had to get rid of it. But
Yep, good details there too.
I just remember everybody was like, "Are you Team Edward or Team?"
Ugh.
Or
so
just
I
couldn't
was
escape
Team Edward
that.
for so long, and then I was Team Jacob, and now I'm like, they're both the worst. So
Yeah, no, you're on track there. Yeah,
and there were posters everywhere. Like, it was a cultural phenomenon. It was insane.
yeah. Let's beat that dead horse some more.
Not a great time in our history.
Every day we stray further from God.
So let's go into our final scores. Everybody add 5 to what I gave.
Add 5 to what you gave us?
Yes. So whatever it says your final score is. add
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, we didn't do the how
Entertainment,
entertainment factor.
I was gonna say entertain. I was waiting for the entertainment. Ladies, you can kick this one off.
Yeah, for entertainment, I gave it a 5. I was surprised at how bored I was. I mean, maybe because I've seen it a few times. I'm not embarrassed to admit that, but I did get on my phone a lot just because, like, I knew it was coming. Nothing about it was intriguing or sucked me in. But when I was younger, I ate this up.
yes, yeah, I gave it an 8 because I think I've seen this movie at least 25 times, and I still have so much fun with it every time.
She quoted it as much as I quote Fellowship of the Ring anytime I watch
I didn't
that.
even make that connection. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's pretty bad, but no, whether it's a good movie or not, just because of the significance it's had in my life, I just am always entertained by it.
So I actually gave the entertainment value a 6 because, like I said,
Higher than I thought you would give it.
yeah, it is higher than I
Way
thought
higher.
because looking back, I think it's a hilarious movie. Like, I enjoy it as a comedy. It is a movie that I think is so bad that I enjoy it a little bit watching it.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that's hard for you to swallow, but like,
I don't think Bryce's entertainment value score counts because he was just complaining the whole time. So
I wasn't complaining.
you were laughing, so you were somewhat entertained.
Well, that was the drinks helped a little bit. Yeah, until I got just depressed at the end. Yeah, mine was a 0 out of 10. This is the first time I will comfortably say I have truly just been so disconnected and bored of watching a movie. I can't remember, like, I Ant-Man and Wasp would be a close, but it was new, so like it had that going for it at the very least. Twilight was just one. Like, again, I've never seen this movie. I've seen so many bits and pieces, and I guess going into this, I had the expectation that it would be so bad that it's good. But by the end, I was just so sad that I watched a 2-hour movie that just felt like such a waste of my time, that I could have been watching anything, literally anything else, and I probably could have been happier than when I was there. This is going to be one of the few movies I think that I'll ever give a 0 out of 10 for entertainment value.
sorry.
It's okay. I forgive you.
So that takes us to our final scores then. So back to what I said 5 minutes ago.
So my final score was a 28. Overall, like, this is not a good movie. Sorry, Bailey. Like, I have to admit that. But once again, it's not the worst movie ever. So I think, like, if you haven't seen Twilight, I do think you should watch it just so you can be a part of all of our misery.
My final score took it to a 17. It's probably one of my lowest scores for a movie ever, but
Wow.
yep, 17.
It's only slightly above Cats.
I think we averaged
didn't
Cats.
even finish that movie.
Yeah, we averaged Cats at a 10 because it was unwatchable.
Yeah, I don't even think we got like
No.
halfway to that movie. It was pretty rough.
Once it was it Peter? Who
Oh,
does
what's
the
his
singing in
name?
cars with celebrities?
I know.
Oh, what's
James,
that guy's
is
name?
it
James Gordon.
James Corden? Once he was dancing in the
He's
cat
so
suit,
unfunny.
I
He's so untalented. It's
I wanted to make it to Taylor Swift and I couldn't.
Yeah, because I don't think we made it.
Yeah, I just wanted to see the butthole edition. Anyway, my final score.
On record, Bryce wants to see Taylor Swift's butthole.
That's
what I
that's
heard.
taken out of context, but I guess I should be used to it at this point. Anyway, yeah, I think mine comes into like a 12. This is, outside of Cats, also probably my least favorite movie I've ever watched, and yeah, this might be one of the worst movies I've genuinely ever seen. Don't watch this movie, please.
Bryce
I
hates
really-
all my movie choices.
I really
I
want to.
literally don't hate all you. This is like the first
I
one where it's
picked-
like, this is
Remember,
pretty awful.
I took you guys to see Lamb, and you hated that.
I didn't hate Lamb. I
And
just like
then
it's not really great, but
Eraserhead-
Eraserhead was
I didn't like the movie either, to be honest. But that was
Eraserhead
my
was-
favorite.
Eraserhead's okay. I mean, it's special.
I really want to show you some 80s movies, and then we can discuss worst movies you've ever seen.
Yeah, I guess if you want to watch it just to be part of the club, go ahead. But I would not recommend wasting your time on this movie.
What'd you say your final was?
I think it's
12?
like 12. Yeah, 12.
Okay. So Bailey, you gonna?
At 5?
Yeah.
Okay, so mine was 31. Because, again, it's just...
It was your teenage.
It was my teenage years. This came out when I was 12, so I was the target audience, and it worked.
And I think that's overall into my final statements. I think that's a fair assessment that there was a clear target audience for this story and for these films. And basically, if you weren't a 10 to 15-year-old girl, it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
Exception, maybe there's some 18-year-old girls out there who are eating it up, but like
Also, our moms.
some moms were loving
Yeah.
it, but like there's a reason why the two guys in this room did not have a great time. I mean, I thought it was hilariously bad. Bryce just thought it was terribly bad. But this movie is clearly for a specific audience.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is a good case on good marketing.
Yeah. They
I mean,
nailed the
really.
marketing. Yeah.
Like, they nailed the target audience, they advertised it, and it just became viral.
Yeah, you're not really wrong about that. Bailey, any final thoughts?
I guess my only final thoughts would really be... I wouldn't go that far. But if anybody out there can vote to do New Moon, please let us know, because they won't let me do it. And we haven't even
This is
gotten
the last
to the
time we
Volturi
ever
yet.
let you
So-
recommend a movie.
You don't know. I'll use a different phone.
I really I
Burner
wouldn't
account.
mind I wouldn't mind doing the whole series just so we can talk about the fourth one, because I will
yeah.
rage so hard about the biggest waste of a movie
That
I've
was the
ever
fifth
seen.
one.
Oh, the fifth
Yeah.
one? Oh, jeez, I thought there were only.
There's 5. 'cause they
How
got
many are
part
there?
two.
Oh my
Don't make me
goodness.
do this, please.
So the fifth one
We'll
is
spread it
the
out.
biggest waste of
Please,
time
yeah,
I've
just
ever
don't put me
had.
through this, guys. I have only so many days left on this earth. I don't want to waste them.
Did you give your final thoughts?
What?
I think we are all
Yeah,
very clear on what
I
Bryce's
thought it
final
was,
thoughts
yeah.
are.
I mean, I don't really have. Again, like I hate to admit it, but this movie had a great impact on, not great impact, but it had a huge impact, and it was made for 14-year-old girls. I think you're wasting your time watching this movie, but if you want to be a part of the club who saw Twilight, go ahead, watch it, waste your time, and hate yourself.
If you're a 15-year-old girl, you might just love it.
Yeah, whatever. go ahead. There's so many other better movies out there, better adult adult stories you could watch, like Hunger Games. Even Hunger Games was better than this.
I didn't like the first. I like the
First
story.
one's okay.
I like the story of the first one.
So good.
Catching
good.
Fire is
Okay,
actually pretty
We're
good.
gonna do that next.
I never finished those movies.
Yeah, who did? But anyway, yeah, that about wraps it up.
It takes our final average to 22.
That's way too much. Bailey, why did you just?
Because I can't help myself.
Well, there's this thing called. I already know what
Don't
you're
be
gonna.
mean to me.
I
I
was
don't
gonna say
even want-
discipline. I already knew where that was going. Discipline and respect. I knew as soon as I was about to say, I was like, God, I should have just gone with it. But
So-
yeah,
22 plants it firmly in the bad category.
Oh no.
yeah.
Robert Pattinson is trembling right now.
No, he would agree.
I was gonna say he's like raising a toast. So anyway, I'm not even gonna ask you guys what your thoughts are, because I know you'll do what's best for you. You will not watch this movie. You will not give us your ratings. There's probably some like small minority who listen to this podcast who be like, oh, I remember that. Here's my score. It's gonna ruin the average and boost it up and then make it an okay movie, which isn't okay.
We actually scored Ant-Man and the Wasp below this one.
I mean, I don't blame it. It's pretty bad
it's
too.
both-
They're
I-
both bad.
I actually think I would watch Twilight again before I would watch Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Can I
so
not
I
watch
think that's
either?
accurate.
Maybe
Yeah.
I don't even want to choose. Those are both awful.
If I was forced to or die, I would.
Honestly, I think I would rather take the sweet bliss of the early 2000s over the absolute poop show that is today's cinema. So I'll agree with you on that one. I'll take the sweet ignorance of 2008 over 2023.
There is in my opinion, the difference is that the early 2008 was hilariously bad,
Yes.
whereas bad movies today are just insufferably bad.
Correct. So with all that being said,
I think that's it. for
I'm
this
pretty
one.
tired.
Here's
This-
the end
but-
credits. There you go.
What was that?
That was the end,
and credits.
Oh, you actually just did the end credits?
Yes.
How did
obviously.
we get here?
I don't know what they're saying. I've never known what they're saying.
Oh, I was like,
I used to know you so well.
you and Bryce duet.
Anyway, we're done with this episode. Thank you for watching and listening to this episode.
Tune in again next time.
Tune in again next time. I guess if you've seen Twilight, let us know what you thought about it. Let us know if it still holds up for you, anyone else out there. And if you have
Twilight Defenders, send us those scores.
yeah, Twilight. Yeah, seriously, prove me wrong. I seriously come out and show me that I'm totally wrong about this movie, which I'm not. But still show me that I'm wrong.
We're not here to argue. We're here to appreciate how everybody likes things in a different way.
So yeah, with that said, leave a comment of what your thoughts on the movie. Send us a DM of your thoughts with a score, all that fun stuff. Hit up our link tree. Follow us on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify. Subscribe, share with your friends, all that fun stuff. And
What do we have?
I don't know if it's Spider-Man
Isn't
next.
Spider-Verse next?
See,
yeah.
this was a nice little palate cleanser, or
Yes.
maybe just so bad that
I'm very
gonna-
nervous about
anything-
Spider-Verse.
I am too. So it'll be an interesting episode. So with all that said, thank you for watching and listening.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.